Hi, welcome to Chad's Silversmithing. Before we get going too far, if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button before you leave, that helps out my channel a great deal. I appreciate that. I also love hearing what you think about the videos, so leave a comment if you want. Today I'm going to do 3 cat theme pieces. I'm going to do 2 pendants and a ring. The ring is very simple and I think it'll be kind of cool. The 2 pendants are distinctly different. One is sort of a mid-century modern trope kind of stylized cat that I've seen lots of images of over the years. I think I'm going to try and reproduce him. And the other one is going to be kind of a geometrically sort of constructed cat based on a line drawing I saw somewhere. Before we get started, I wanted to thank all my YouTube subscribers. We passed 7,400, which is amazing. Thank you all for your support and kind words and financial contributions. That's really wonderful and I appreciate it. The other group I need to thank is my patrons over on Patreon. It's getting to be a pretty good-sized group over there, and it's a fantastic group of people. I love the way they're interacting with each other on Discord, and I've learned so much from them. I hope they've learned as much from me, but I really appreciate their support. Thank you guys. All right, let's get started on the first one. Let's see what I drew up in my design idea book. These are available in my merch store, incidentally, if you're interested. For me, they've become one of those things that is essential to helping me to come up with some ideas and draw them out. When I started doing the YouTube channel, I really started sketching things out more than I used to, and the little grid pattern on these make it really much easier for me. So I'm not terribly good at drawing, so it helps me keep things sort of symmetrical. Okay, first I sketched out a few designs and then I changed my mind about one of them. First thing I'm going to do is just a simple ring, and it's going to have some ears on it like a cat. So I think it'll be cute. Not particularly difficult to make, so that's definitely a beginner project. Second, I'm going to do kind of an angular geometric cat out of 14 gauge square wire with a little standard bail. If you want to see how I make those bails, I'll put a link right up there for you. That's a useful type of bail to be able to make. I originally was going to do some earrings. I did a pendant like this a long time ago and made a little short out of it. But I was going to do some earrings like that with some peridot. But I was already doing one that was kind of an outline of things. So this one I'm going to use some sheet and make this kind of mid-century modern cat that's stylized. I've always liked the shapes on him. I picked out a couple of amethysts. Thank you, Bobby, for donating those amethysts to me. I really appreciate that. So there's one of them. There's the other one. So he's going to have purple eyes, which I think will be kind of cool. The rest of them is going to be made primarily of 18 gauge sheet. I may dome this just a little bit to give him a little bit of kind of curvature. And I'll probably use 12 gauge square that I flatten out a little bit after I shape it into that shape for this. We'll see. This is going to be a little piece of 12 gauge square too that's not squished probably. And that's my plan so far. I'm going to put a little hidden bail behind each of these where I'll be able to hook a split chain to. So we'll do that as well. And I think that'll be our plan for the day. I pre-made a few things. I pre-made the bezels for those stones to save time. If you're interested in making a bezel for a faceted stone, I'll put a link up there for you. The other thing I did is I pre-made one of these bails for this one, which is kind of a standard type of bail that I make a lot. And if you want to see how I do those, there's a link up there for that. Okay, so let's do the ring first. I measured out a piece. Maybe, I think it was about a 7. Yeah, that's the one. And I'm going to use low dome half round. I think this is number 4, number 5 low dome from Rio Grande, and I use it for a lot when I want kind of a wide looking shank on a band. And we'll just mount some ears on here. So I cut some ears out of 18 gauge already as well. Where did I put those? Like this. They're just little kind of curved triangles, and they're flat on the bottom right now, but after I'm going to dome them a little bit with my dapping block, and then we'll mount them on here curved like that, and we'll see how it looks. So, but first we need to make this band. If you've never seen one of my videos, I use hard silver sheet solder. I'm using up these little tiny pieces right now. And I use a spray-on flux called My-T-Flux. My torch is a Smith acetylene air torch. I think the model is the Smith Silversmith. And the other question everybody always asks me are about these Fisker's shears. Somebody told me they just bought some of these and they were cheap and couldn't cut as well, but the ones I bought seem to cut pretty well still. I've replaced a few of these over the years. They started titanium coating the blades, and that seems to protect them a little bit. Alright, let's get started. Let's make this into a band. I found when I'm soldering together the ends of a band, if I bend them kind of straight towards each other like that, I get a nicer solder joint. So I think for this I'm just going to go ahead and cut a little kind of a skinny strip and drape it over there. After I flux this, I can just plop that right on there and then we'll heat the whole thing till it flows. That flux kind of settled down. Make sure it's touching both sides. The only thing that really ever goes wrong with this is if you heat too slowly from side to side. One side may reach temperature before the other and then the solder will jump to that side. So you want to try and do it sort of quickly. And then when it starts to flow, then stop and focus on that solder joint. It's getting close. Make sure both sides reach temperature so we get a good connection. And then we can cool it off and shape it. Remove any excess solder on the inside here. I'm just going to reshape it into a circle on this. Using this mandrel, you may not be able to see all of this because I'm not going to do it all on the table because I got to hit it pretty hard. Alright, I'm going to remove the excess solder on the solder joint here now. Probably not perfectly shaped because I just kind of crudely cut them out, but let's see if we can cup them a little bit with my dapping block here. Now, we're going to have these mounted on here like this. I'm going to have to shape the bottom to match that a little bit. So I think I'm going to do that with my Dremel really quick, just to give me a nice curve there. Okay, I did a little bit of curve on them so it'll match like that. I think I did the other one a little better than this one. Okay, I have to figure out how to get this kind of midway down the ring itself. Put the solder joint at the back here. And if you've never seen these are magnesia blocks, and you can push things into them a little bit, like this. Sometimes I use the weight of my ring mandrel to give me a little better kind of pressure to get it in there. So I'm going to pick a little solder on each of those. If you've never seen pick soldering, it's one of the more useful silversmithing skills that I've acquired over the years. That one just doesn't want to stay where I want it to. That's a little better. We'll try that. Okay, so I still have some solder on here from earlier. So I'm just going to pick a couple of those pieces there. If you've never seen pick soldering, here's a video about it. Check it out, it's worth learning, I think. Okay. As always, the challenging part about something like this is that you're soldering something pretty massive to a couple of little tiny things. The massive thing takes a lot longer to heat up than the little tiny thing, so focus most of your heat on the massive piece, and then at the end start including the smaller pieces. This one also has an additional challenge because it's partially buried in this block. So we'll get that nice and hot first, and then we'll start hitting these ears as well. See if we can't get some flow. See, it jumped on the ear pretty easily, but it didn't. I still don't have that band quite up hot enough. I want it to get a nice solid connection there. And that one jumped on. Okay, I'll be doing a little bit of cleaning up and smoothing so those aren't like dangerous, but yeah, a little kitty cat ring. So, all right, we'll let him pickle, and I'll clean him up later. So, move on to the next one. Okay, for this little guy, I think we'll start with his head. And so, in order to get those angles like that, I'm going to do some partial file throughs. So, I'm going to start over here. I think I'll do the top of his head and then the bottom of his head and solder those two together to start. So I made a mark right up, this is long enough to go all the way down there, and I made a mark right where that bend is, so we'll start there. I like to take my bastard file and use the corner of it and cut a partial notch through the wire. And I don't have to go super far on this one because it's not a very sharp angle I'm making. Let's bend it and see how it looks. About like that. If you want a real precise way to measure, if you make a marker mark and then make a mark with a pin or something, get a pretty precise spot to file. Bit further. Okay, and I'm going to cut it off a little bit long like the other side. Okay, in order to secure those two that I bent but I didn't re-solder them closed so that that angle is permanent. So let's do that. Even straight line like that just by filing straight across those two. There's the top of his head. And we need to make the bottom of his head. There's going to be a lot of piecing together on this one, so I may not make you watch me every single one of the little steps here because I'm going to have to be cutting little pieces and filing the angles and soldering them together. But it's mostly not a hard project, just a time-consuming project, I think, for something like this. That's about where I went. I think that's pretty good. Those two soldered on there. See how it's just kind of piecemealing it together. So I'll do that tail and I'll be right back. Okay, you can see that I've gotten the tail put on here. That took quite a while to piece that all together. I actually did one long piece on the outside here, one on the inside, and then a little separate piece up here and two little cross pieces. I also added a jump ring at the top, which I'm going to put my little pre-made bail through, like I said. On this one though, all I really have to do is heat the bail itself because it's a separate piece. So I can pick a little piece right on there as long as I don't get anything too hot there. The other piece I don't want to be heating probably. I think that one's good. We can pickle him and then we'll move on to the last piece. Okay, so I have this next piece we're going to do. It's going to be 18 gauge sheet. I've made the tail in advance. There you go. Which I used some 12 gauge square, and I shaped it and then I hammered it flat, and we'll solder that right to the side of it. I traced out his head up here. I have just about enough left to do him, but I need to order some more. Alright, so it's kind of like a jug shape for his body. And so I'm going to cut those out. I'll probably just use the shears for this, and some of this I can use the shears, some I'll probably have to use the saw to get in there, but I'll be right back. So I got a head cut out and kind of filed down. I got a body. Kind of, I guess we call it bowling pin shape. I think, like I said before, I'm going to try and dome these just a little bit. And so, let's see. The other side is a little bit. I'm going to use a wooden thing because I don't want quite as domey as a dome as I might get with the other one. Domey as a dome? I don't know. Get a little bit smoother outcome with this metal one. kind of a Stewie shaped head if you ever watched Family Guy. That'll clean up all right, I think. So I think our next step is going to be to add the little collar, which is just going to be a little piece of this stuff, I think, which is 12 gauge square wire. Since I had beat up his face a little bit with a hammer, not my usual kind of thing to do, but smoothed it out with the Dremel, so let's solder him on there. I get in close like that a little bit. So I think I'm going to solder that on like that, and we'll add some ears. And then we'll throw those bezels on there and cut some holes behind it. I think this one's going to be pretty cute. I always liked that style of cat. I think there's a famous poster in France or something that had a similar cat on it. Memory serves me. Okay, so what kind of ears we got? Let's see if I got some little bits. This piece I cut off from around there probably is big enough to get both of those off of there. So I got those positioned, I think, pretty good. That looks about right to me. That looks about right to me, I should say. I was mumbling again. Sorry about that. It's getting towards the end of the evening and I'm getting tired, so. Then I start muttering under my breath. Starting to look like a cat. Two things to do left, really, is to mount my little bezels that I made for these faceted stones. There you are. So, I probably need to clean up the tops a little. I cut these from taller bezel. Oops, don't run away from me. I don't want to have to make another one. So cat eyes. They're going to be going kind of like this. That's pretty cool. I like that. The last thing we'll do is put on some loops on the backs of the ears. And then I'll have a place to attach a split chain to it. Good. Okay, I made an executive decision and decided not to add the whiskers. Most of the drawings I've seen of that type of cat have whiskers, but I think he looks pretty cool by himself. And I think the whiskers might be catchy on clothing, so I don't think they add that much. He's supposed to be kind of a stylized cat. He's a cool cat from the 60s. Or the 50s even. I'll have to look up and see where that motif first showed up. I'm just putting a little solder on some little staple-shaped pieces of, it's actually 14 gauge wire that I flattened out in the rolling mill, and pushed my cat into the magnesia block so things are less likely to fall off or anything. I'm going to, let's see, I should probably suspend that with a T-pin or something. Nothing's going to fall, drop down then, hopefully. I'm just going to put these guys right kind of like that along the way that the ear goes. I think we're attached. Looks like it to me. Okay. I'm going to pickle that. At the end I'm going to cut some holes where his eyes are. Probably not going to show you that, but then I'll show you how to set the stones after everything's all cleaned up. So I got everything all polished up and I set these two stones here. I think it came out pretty good. I just need to cut a chain and make a little chain for him. And this guy came out pretty good. And I think this ring is pretty cool. So All right, well, thanks for watching. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed the 3 different cat theme pieces. If you did, make sure to hit that like button before you leave. That really helps a lot. I'd also love to hear what you think in the comment section, so do that. Before you leave, though, you might want to check out a few more of my other videos. I have over 250 now. I've been doing this for almost 2 years, and I put out 3 per week. So there's quite a bit of content there for a lot of different levels as far as your skill level. So check them out and consider subscribing. I'd love to have you as a subscriber. The other thing is, check out the video description down below for some relevant links if you care to support the channel. There's a Buy Me a Coffee link, which just provides me with a little cash to buy supplies and things, and I appreciate that. My Patreon link is down there. There's a link to my website, which if you want to do a little Christmas shopping or holiday shopping, there's plenty of stuff there to buy. And there's also a merch store where if you want to get yourself one of those nice design idea books, which have become so essential to me lately. So either way, thanks for coming. Take care. Happy silversmithing.